And good morning, all my super friends. So in the chat just before I said that I was being distracted right up until trying to get onto the stream. And you may well hear what was distracting me, or if the distraction continues. Okay, all right, before I get into that, I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to the elders past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. So good morning to everybody. Okay, doing it the old-fashioned way. Good morning to Crispian, Amanda, Stephen W, Delane, Stephen W again, Delane again. Any Mule, some call it fun. David House, Jax Tech, Scott Miller, Mitchell R, Peter Lawler, Gerald42, Russell Rainey, and Sion is here. Mark Laguda, who else? Gavin Shucky, Mike Carden. Hang on, did I say Mike? I don't know what I said. Gavin Jackson and Sharky. All right, so, and probably others as well. So okay, there is something going on in Bayswater. I wish that I had the ability to dispatch a drone to go and have a look around and find the source of the interest, because there has got to be a classic car event somewhere very nearby. As I was arriving this morning, I was coming down, I can't remember the name of the street. Anyway, the one that's like a block away from the factory, coming up to a T intersection, and coming around the T intersection and getting a bit sideways around the corner was a very nice looking RX-7 SP. Like, probably one of my all-time dream cars. And yeah, the driver was being quite enthusiastic. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then I came around and pulled up outside the, Don S is here as well, pulled up at my factory and got out of my car. And as I got out of my car and I was walking to the door, one of the original WRX like rally edition things drove past, sounding very chonky. And then before I got to the door, a brand new looking WRX that has obviously been very highly modified went crackling and burbling past. Yeah. And I thought, that's strange, like 3 seriously hot cars in the space of 60 seconds have just gone past. And then I heard a couple more cars go past, like once I got inside, and I thought, something's going on. Could you hear a car go past then? Maybe not. And so I quickly grabbed my my phone and went out. So don't worry, I'm not going to be showing anybody doing anything illegal. And I went out because I heard this little Escort that sounded quite hot. It had come down the street here, the opposite direction to the way it's facing, and done a U-turn right in front of my factory, and it was still sitting there idling. And I grabbed my phone and went out to get a quick snap of it. And as I did, like I had it in video mode, and as I did, this happened. What? There's another one. And so this is like, this was made, when was the video? This was 35 minutes ago. And then, hang on. And then I've stopped the recording because the car had gone, and then I immediately started again. So this is a few seconds later. Another classic old Ford. Following off after the first two. And what else? Oh yeah, there was... I'm just looking at the timestamp. So this was like 1 minute later. Very sedate, but cruising on through. And a few seconds after that, looking at the timestamps again. So this was maybe a minute after that, was the orange Escort cruising through again. What else have we got? I know people are probably not very interested in this. I know a few people. It's just a Holden, so who cares? But that one sounded pretty crazy. But then look at, oh whoops, that's not what I was trying to do. But look what was. Where is it? 2024. I've got to find that video. Okay, here we go. And then look what was behind the Holden. Yeah, and it just keeps going. Like, that's not even the end of my videos. I've got, hang on. What was this one? I don't know. But I kept coming inside. That one sounded like a sleeper. Like it had a had a bit of a note of a supercharger or something to it. So hang on, here comes something else. Yeah, whatever that was turbocharged. I heard the blow-off valve as it as it entered the street. Okay, so there is something going on, like near me, some kind of like a classic car meet or something. Yeah, so I've just been sending these videos to my son this morning saying, you should be in Bayswater right now. Nerd snipage engaged. Yeah. RS2000, yes, yeah, that's right. There were some, yes, some escorts. Oh, Don said a helicopter just landed in my neighbour's yard 10 minutes ago. Oh. How big is your neighbour's yard that it can warrant the landage of a helicopter? That is pretty nuts. Speaking of which, I wonder if I can find it. I think I might have shown these at some point on a stream. I've got video of 2 helicopters landing in Steve Outram's backyard. Well, one in his front yard, one in his backyard. Although when your yard is, what was it, 300 acres, the distinction between front and backyard doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. Where would that video be? No, me finding it is going to... no. I would be looking for a while. I have... Oh, what's that? I could just hear something in the distance. You know, it is so tempting to just grab my phone, go portable camera, and go and stand out the front and do the stream from out in the street and see what goes past. Yeah, Moorabbin is a long way from Bayswater, but yeah. So Peter Lawler pointed out maybe Cars and Coffee, July 2024, 7th of July, starting at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Which means that we would be right at the Marquee Collection, South Road, Moorabbin. So that would mean we would be right in the middle of the time frame for when that would be happening. So, oh, Mitchell, no, text-to-speech is not on. It came up with a 404 when I tried to load it earlier. I'm just trying now. Nope, now it says 500 internal server error. Oh, Don S said, civilian, not rescue, we're all on 2 to 5 acre blocks. Yeah, yeah, Jackstack said there are a lot of private garages around you. Yeah, there are. I am surrounded by performance car places, including like directly behind me in this factory complex. In fact, when I was first setting up the factory here and I was doing a live stream with my laptop sitting on a pile of cardboard boxes just in here, some of you may remember a guy named Alan walked in, and because he didn't know I was doing a live stream, so he just walked in and started talking to me while I was on the stream. He has the factory directly behind, and he races rally cars. So there are a whole lot of rally cars in the factory behind, and behind him is Mackie Auto Elec, where they build drag cars and street performance cars. And the factory behind, just to the left of that, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's a guy who builds performance cars as well. So in this collection of 5 factories that I'm in, 3 of them are performance car related. So there is stuff all over the place. Mitchell said, probs auth failed, clear browser cache data, and you should be good. Let's see what I can do. Loading. Oh, yeah, it went to a 401 not authorized. Now it's gone to the login screen, logging in. Hang on, I'm pausing because I can hear something idling. It's not just driving past, there is actually something idling out there, and I can hear it going chung 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 chung. All right. Here we go into the text-to-speech. Cool. All right, it's loading, Mitchell. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay, now, what am I doing? Yeah, Stephen W. says, needs more rotary braps. It does. It does. It only had that RX-7 at the start. We need more. What am I doing? Sorry, I'm cleaning up windows and things and just getting myself organized so I can see what is going on. All right, we've got text-to-speech working. We have... Donna said, I know you're interested in rotaries. Did you see Rob Darm's effort up Pikes Peak in an RX-7 3-rotor? You know, I don't think I have. I've watched Rob Darm's videos before. I don't recall seeing him in an RX-7 3-rotor up Pikes Peak. I have seen many Pikes Peak videos. It's just that particular thing I don't think I've seen. So, anyway, I think we are here. I was going to say we're here for electronics and software, not cars. But really we're here for squirrels. And these are just big metal squirrels. All right. Get that out of the way. All right. Let's see. Is it going to work? Stephen W. said, speaking of electronics, got that ECU installed yet? No, but... Mitchell, I haven't tried hacking members in the UI. Let's do that. So, I'm just going to... Oh yeah, that's less laggy now because it doesn't have the transition. And also, the good thing is that I can read ahead because it doesn't do the fade out. Said,
I'm here for squirrels.
Here for squirrels. It is quite slow, but that is probably... I'm clicking on it, and the rate at which I'm clicking is... Oh, did I say hello to David Howes earlier? I can't remember. Russell, Sion, I did. Mark, I did. Sharky, I did.
Outside the box said squirrels.
Whatever that car is, it's still idling out there. Cassio Eskelson, hello. Keith H, hello. Where are we? What is a car if not a hamster wheel for humans? Jordan says, used to live not far from the base of Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs and Monument, Colorado. Oh.
Peter Lawler said, Steph and Steve, proof of life.
No.
Imogen Ann said, brat, 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 Polly, Kursame, Chua, Kwai.
It still freaks me out to hear my voice doing the text-to-speech. but I suppose I'll get used to it. It is now 15 minutes into the stream and I am still just stuffing around and saying good morning. Okay, so I had wanted to get a few things open in advance before. Let's see, what windows have I got open? Testomatic, do I have that? Yes, I do. Okay, so Node-RED. Oh, just been quiet for a moment to see if you can hear it. Can you hear that sound? I was too late to see what it was. I don't know. Something just drove away quite casually, but sounding chunky. Okay, Donna said, just installed a Unify U7 Plus access point. Now I just need some 6 GHz ESPs. Oh, Gavin said, are we talking barbecue next weekend? Yes, we are, Gavin. Yes, we are. Next weekend is barbecue day. Yeah, 6 GHz ESPs. Now, some of the recent ESPs do support 5 GHz, I think. Jackstack said, don't you have security cams out there you could double check? I do, but they're not really pointing at the street. I've got one that is pointing across the front of, it's pointing across the front of my front door and sort of can see where my driveway is, but it doesn't really look directly out into the street. Stuart over the road at the sawmill has cameras that just look straight out into the street, basically looking towards my front door. So his cameras would see everything. And there are cameras down the side of the factory that look down towards the street, but I don't have access to those streams from here. U7, so you crashed 1,000 times in the simulator. What? Okay. Gerald said barbecue and early birthday bash. Well, kind of early birthday bash.
Amanda Thompson said, help John grow his channel by sharing and liking the stream, please. Okay. Outside, the box said, hello, Emmy. Two
very different users for the TTS. Okay. Hang on. Aren't you like in the same room or something? And you're using the TTS to talk to each other? No, not you and Amanda. I mean, you and Emmy. So, yes, I am discombobulated. Oh, is that because I didn't say hello to Emmy? Did I forget? I'm sorry. Hello, Emmy. I thought that I had.
Peter Lawler said, grow his channel, making signs out.
Yes.
Imogen Ann said, hello, Crispian.
Goodbye, Peter. Bye. So this is Node-RED and the old and new UIs. So this is where we left it. Ooh, it wants me to sign in. Interesting. I'm going to pull that down off this screen and log in. Oh, that's right. This was just the tester anyway, so it was just like a temporary password thingy. Yeah, so what have we got on the messages over here? Message, topic, object, topic 2. What was that from? I don't even know what that was from. Oh, that might have been playing with the, where are we? Debug node. Yeah, that was playing with the status of pin 2.
And said, good morning, Jono.
Good morning, Emmy. Now, there's someone who I have not seen on the channel this morning is Mr. Fixit, 1952. And some of you will remember that last week, I think it was last week, Mr. Fixit had he said that there was a fire at his place and a whole lot of stuff had been burned, including his upstairs room with all of his electronics in it. And during and he said there was a whole lot of damage, so he had to move out of his house. Anyway, during the week, I have seen photos of what happened to his house. It is seriously bad. He was saying, oh yeah, it's like $10,000 worth of damage, but no, that house looks screwed. It needs a lot of work. It's really, really bad. He's started a GoFundMe to help. Hang on, I'm going to be signing in here somewhere. Yes, I will accept your cookies. Cookies. So, verify your number. Okay, here we go. Oh, come on, the notification went away. Okay, my number is verified. Very good. How do I find out? Where are we? Donate. Let's see. Sorry, here we go. So, for those of you who are so inclined, I am going to, and I hope Mr. Fixit 1952 is okay with this. So this is Bruce, Mr. Fixit, and somewhere in here, are there photos? No, I think the photos might have been on on Facebook. So I'm going to drop the GoFundMe into the chat. So if anybody feels so inclined to drop a few dollars towards helping Bruce out, I'm sure he would appreciate it. I've stopped commenting on it. You hear that? What the hell was that? But that one was, whatever that was a bit more of an extreme example. Yeah, I stopped commenting on all the cars going past because I would just be talking about it constantly. But that sounded, yeah, that sounded rather more extreme than some of the others that have gone past. So hang on, I will see if I can, no, Sorry, I'm pausing because I am just trying to find a way that I can show you a picture.
Imogen Ann said 737.
737. Show you a picture without, like showing you Bruce's Facebook profile because he keeps it fairly limited. Just to give you a sense of the sort of scale of damage. Okay, this photo. Alright, I'm just going to show you one photo. Bardonk. Yeah, there are many more photos, but this is it's not just a bit of smoke damage. There is serious damage through the house. It is a mess. And it's through from the, I think it affects the basement, the ground floor, and the attic level. So he's going to have to be doing a whole lot of rebuilding to make this habitable. And that big beam is no longer structurally serviceable. Yeah, so his place is a mess. And some of the debris pulled out the front. Yeah, anyway, so if anybody feels like...
Major said, it's just a flesh wound.
Yeah, it's just a flesh wound. No arms, no legs, it's just a flesh wound. So anyway, as I said, if anybody feels like pitching in a few dollars to help with that situation, I'm sure he would appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, there have been times in the past, there have been a couple of fundraising things that all of you guys have organised, including funding getting my laptop was paid for out of a fundraiser, and it's meant a huge amount to me when I've been in a situation where I couldn't, my personal situation was such that I couldn't afford to get things that would be useful. And this ATEM, which I'm using for doing the streaming now, was sent to me as a gift by an extremely generous viewer who prefers to remain anonymous. So there have been times like this that people have done things for me that, yeah, it means a lot, both in terms of the direct financial value, but that's only a small part of it. It's also the fact that the feeling that people care about you and worry about you and your situation and want to...
R said, I think the worst thing isn't just the fire, it's the 12 Y of work and nearly time for the finale, and then it turns into a flaming finale.
Yeah, that's right, Mitchell.
Amanda Thompson said, what would be cool if paid members of the stream could record samples of their own voices and be used when we use the TTS on the stream.
That is a really, really cool idea, Amanda. That is great. I don't know how much work it would be. It is probably quite a bit of work for Mitchell to do that for each one. But as a concept, I love that. Being able to hear that person's voice would be great. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, as I was saying, it is partly the direct financial assistance, and it's partly just that feeling that, hey, people have noticed that I'm in this situation and they want to help, which can be a really big benefit emotionally. So when I'm in a situation where I can help other people, I like to do it. And I've appreciated it when other people have been in a situation where they can help me. And of course, we're not all in the same situation at the same time. Sometimes, depending on life's ebbs and flows, we can have access to resources, and other times we don't. And right now, I'm doing okay. I have access to enough resources to be able to help other people from time to time with things. At times in the past, I haven't, and other people have helped me. So, yes. So, together we are stronger. And one of the hard things that I find is being open to accepting help. It's not something that I do very well at all. I can't stand it. And I don't know why. When was it? Maybe a few months ago, someone asked me the question, why is it that I don't feel like I can accept help, or I don't want to ask for help? and I still don't have an answer. It's, yeah, there's just something in me, or in my brain, in my...
Jack's Tech said, extremely well put, pay it forward, but only when you can, and that goes in both directions.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, yes. I disagree with what Peter is about to say. Come on.
Peter Lawler said, I am beyond help.
You are not beyond help, unless you meant it to be saying in my voice, which is therefore me saying it. Jack's Tech, sorry for that existential question. I think it may have been me. No, I think I think several people have asked me that question. I can think of 3 people that have asked me that question or some variation of it, and I still don't know. It's something about, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Now, was it last Sunday? Jack Sack said it's ADHD. That may be a factor in it. Could well be. Neurodiversion says outside the box. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I understand that some kind of neurodiversity can be a factor in that, particularly in how we relate to other people. But what I don't understand is how something like ADHD is directly related to a feeling of not being able to ask for help. Yeah. Now, last Sunday, I ended the stream really close to having Firmata working with, where were we? So having Firmata working. I'm trying to remember what it was that finally made it work. Oh, that's right. I was having trouble compiling Firmata. Yes. Okay, it is all coming back to me now. It sounds like a song. I'm just taking it off the screen because in fact, let's go for something more interesting, a more interesting view. Hello. It's the wrong face camera. I'm just opening Arduino IDE at the moment, and I had, yeah, so that's another tester breakout while Arduino is opening. This is another tester breakout, and Tommy did the design on the laser cut stuff, and he assembled this.
Mitchell R said, I was about to sing that.
He assembled this on Friday. So it doesn't have the connectors on it yet. Still some work to do. Ooh, did you hear that? I want to be sitting out the front with some popcorn and or something, checking out all the cars going past, whatever that was.
Unexpected Maker said, I'm the same as you. I don't think it's ADHD. For me, it's a level of embarrassment and feeling like a failure, something hard to face.
Yes. A level of embarrassment to some extent, and I think it's also a feeling that, okay, so digging into that embarrassment a little bit more, I think it's a feeling that I have failed to meet people's expectations, because I have this picture of expectations that are put on myself. So while this is happening, I'm just searching for some code. So it's a feeling of failure when I should be able to do things for myself and I can't. And I think it's probably this expectation. Oh, this could turn into a therapy session.
Said, Step 1, open Arduino IDE. Step 2, compile configurable Firmata for the RP Pico. Vein Quarti.
Yes, that is actually what I'm doing, but I'm doing it off screen right now. So Firmata, no, actually not configurable Firmata. It was, or was it configurable Firmata that I ended up with? I think it might have been, come on, where is it? Yeah, I really need to configurable Firmata there, and I have a feeling that I might have ended up going back to the, no, it wasn't configurable Firmata. It was the new version of the standard Firmata, which has been updated. Looking for examples, Firmata, standard Firmata. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to bring this up onto the other monitor so you can see what's going on. Hang on, I'm going to show you some things. Alright, so this is configurable Firmata. But what I discovered was that if I come to, where are we? Examples, and then down to Firmata. Like this is original Firmata. You can see here there is the old standard Firmata and there is standard Firmata. So if we just open standard Firmata and have a look, I'll see what am I compiling for. ESP32, no, let's go for Raspberry Pi P2040, Raspberry Pi Pico. Oh, excuse me, that's the one. I don't think that is correct. I think it's been updated since then. So, alright, Pico, let's just see if it compiles. Nope, it doesn't. So maybe it was standard. Let's see if standard compiles. I mean configurable compiles. Hang on, I've got a cough. And take a drink of iced coffee. Ah, that's better. Much better. Now, that failed to compile as well. So, what is going on? Now, I did actually have multiple libraries found for servo. That's probably not the root cause of the problem, though. Where is this error? Here we go. Pin SCK, blah, 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 blah. An expansion, yeah, okay. Configurable Firmata. So I've got to find out what I installed. What did I install? What is going on here? I actually have it running. Like I've got Firmata running on the Pico. Let's start by getting that. Do I? Let's see. Testomatic. It's up and running, I think. I want to bring it in here. It's currently sitting out in the other room, in the clean room, and running, but not for long. Because I want to figure out what I did. What did I do? I do have a Firmata running on that board. I wonder if I can find out from it. And it was running at, hang on, I might have even set it because afterwards I jumped into Discord and said, hey, I got it working. Since then there has been a whole lot of discussion about dummy loads and binding posts. So going back before that, oh, and car washes. Oh, car washes. Car washes. Yes, I was working on a car wash during the week. Okay, there's a whole story there that I won't go into. Now, scrolling back. Come on. Where did I post about it?
Scott Miller said you posted about it being configurable.
Oh, okay, so it was the configurable one. I really can't stand hearing my own voice in the chat. I don't know how any of you are watching these streams. Yeah, I actually can't find my own post. Was it in... Did I post about it in Node-RED?
Scott Miller said with a need for the DHT library?
Yes, that's right. I had to install another library. No. Don't know. Alright, that means I've got to figure it out again. Alright. Configurable Firmata. Why did you not compile? Do I have... Oh, come on. Stop beach balling. That could have been something interesting that just went past. What am I doing? Okay, so configurable Firmata, and it is set to Raspberry Pi Pico.
Outside the box said, "It isn't quite right." The voice has an American accent. Outside the box said, "Slightly lower pitch than you too."
Okay, so I don't quite sound like that. I know I do have kind of a strange, even though I've only visited the US a few times. I know I do have a slight American sort of angle to my voice, not so much
Scott
as an
Miller
accent.
said, "Can't seem to pin, but you posted June 30th, ERF 02 Zone 9 EST."
Okay. Default UF2. I just wanted to see if there was anything unusual about this, but there's not. So there's just Raspberry Pi Pico and what is this complaining about? Pin, SPI, node expansion. So that's the sort of thing that you would expect to see. Was not declared in this scope. Did you mean pin, SPI, SCK? That is... all right, just to verify that I'm not going totally crazy, I'm going to go and grab, so where is it? I'm going to go first, open this, badonk, and yeah, it is in there. I can see it. All right, I'm going to go and grab the test rig because I want to power it up and make sure that it really is working, because I'm not so sure. It seems like I got it going. I think I got it going, but perhaps I was deluding myself. Perhaps, don't need that. Okay, I'm going to leave that off. I'll bring the little power cable, the little XT60 cable, and just this. Nothing but this, but I need a USB cable. Oh, I'll bring this because this could be an interesting thing to experiment with. Oh, pick and place machine needs a haircut.
Elaine said, "With all the great minds on here, and no one remembers."
No one remembers. No one remembers. Now, what I need is a USB cable to go from the Pico to the Pi. To the Pi. There was a cable lying around here. I think I might have hung it back up.
Jackstech said, pull the binary off the existing test rig and hash it. Then compare it with the output from Arduino IDE.
Yeah, but right now the Arduino is not even compiling the code, and that is super suspicious. That makes me not believe what I thought that I had set up and working. So that's why I just want to get this running. What do I need? Power supply. Power supply is on. Set it to 12 volts. Give it a couple of amps just in case. I set 2, enter, go, and power on. All right. So we should have a booting Pi happening there. And okay, we should have a powered up Pico, although we can't actually see any evidence of that at the moment. And then, all right, so what I had over here, lost connection to server, reconnecting. Yes, that's because the Pi is still booting, but it has just finished booting.
Scott Miller said, isn't that standard Arduino? Code fails between compiles.
Yep. Compile it on 2 different days, and oh yeah, and now it says connected, pin 2. So this, for reference, this is it says Arduino in Node. That's actually a Firmata thing. Digital pin with pull-up, and it's dev TTY ACM 0. That is the connection to the Pico, and it just came alive. And here we've got debug 3. I'm going to clear the debug messages. So we've got debug 3 turned on, the other 2 debug nodes are turned off. So whatever event happens here should be reflected coming out in the debug messages. And because this is digital pin, it's input pull-up, if I ground pin 2, we should get a message coming up in here. So
R said, how's this voice?
that's okay. It's maybe a little slow. Now, pin 2 is that one there, and the pin next to it, hang on, I've got to stick my head in the way of the camera almost. So pin 2, I think the one next to it is ground. 1, 2, hang on. Do I have a Pico loose? No, I do not, which means I'm going to go for Pico pin out. This. Yes, ground. Oh, hang on. Over here. Yeah, there we go. GPIO 2, so that's pin 2. Then we've got a ground, and then we've got GP2. So that is...
Unexpected Maker said, magic smoke time.
Yes. Yeah, that voice is a little bit slow. So if I short pin 3 and 4 together, that will ground input 2, which means we should get some event coming out of it. So I'm going to... unfortunately, I can't show both at the same time, but what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'll show you the other console. I'm going to use this pair of tweezers to short here between ground and IO2. But I'll do it while this view is active so we can see what happens. So I'm going to, here comes the magic smoke. There we go. So then we can see we got a message, and it was payload 0, topic 2. So topic means it's pin 2, and payload 0 means that the value on that pin was low. So it's been pulled low. And then you can see there is a following one, which is topic 2. So pin 2 went to payload 1. So it went back high again. So these two messages show that I just tapped on IO2 and it came up in Node-RED. So we successfully are pulling data from the IO pin on the Pico.
Said, tell us what you want to do. What you
really want to do. So we can now read IO pins from the Pico directly into Node-RED on this setup with the Pico connected by USB to here. Okay, now that reminds me, I'm going to go to Internet, Chromium, and we'll pull up we'll see if it remembers the the place it was last. New tab, Chromium, come on. Restore, yes, restore. Okay, dashboard test. Yep, so this is the Node-RED dashboard, and if I go to full screen, there we go. So now we have full screen. Yes, another car just went past. Yeah, I wish I had a camera out there just pointing out into the street. It really feels like I am sitting... Oh, and another one. It's like I'm sitting in the middle of a car show right now and I'm not watching what's going on. I got my back turned to it. Yeah, point being, we now have control of this. Let's see, is there a... Oh, hang on, I shouldn't have closed that. Pico pinout. Where is the... Is there an LED on board a Pico? I've done very little with Picos. I really don't know that much about them, other than...
Aaron Knox said, send a payload using inject node to set pin 2 to low, and we can see if the pin in node shows it in the debug.
Ooh.
Essentially, you mimicking a test.
Yes, true. And you can see here in LED, GP25. Yeah, I've actually designed an RP2040 onto a board for a client, but I don't know... and I like the RP2040 as an MCU, but I don't really know that much about the Pico as a dev board. All right, so GP25. Let's... not that one. Let's add an Arduino out. Instead of sending it to 22, let's go to GP25. Oops, 25. And we'll make it a digital. And oh, okay. So it can be. So it's digital. Do we not have it set as? Oh, because it's an output. All right. I was just confused momentarily by the different options here, but it's an output. So let's call this one LED, and let's add a button. What do we do as a dashboard? All right, button. Let's do a button. And what are we going to make this one send? When it is, I could do like a toggle type thing, but oh, hang on, switch. Let's do a switch. Switch, that's better. So I'm going label. I'm going to call it LED, and on payload true, off payload true, false. Let's make it. Yeah, on payload true, off payload, message topic. Topic is to message. So that's the value on the topic, but don't we want the topic to be to? Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out is how do I interface with this? Let's find out. So you can select digital. So expects an integer numeric value in message.payload. Pin number is set in the properties panel. Okay, so message payload. But then how do we tell it to go high or low? I feel like I need some examples going on here. So topic dot, so messy.
Aaron Knox said, I'm assuming the Arduino out will reset topic to 2 for you.
Okay. I don't know. I don't understand. But let's... Alright, well, what I could do is just be really super naive and try this. Without even understanding what's going on, I am simply going to connect switch to LED and we'll see what happens. Now, which... Testomatic, output device, serial... and hang on, I deployed. Switch, okay, there is a problem with switch. What is the error? I failed to... Come on. Invalid properties, group. Ah, okay. Maybe now that I've selected that it will work.
Change the data type of the payloads to numeric.
Okay. Where are we? On payload. Where? Oh, numeric. Yep. So on payload as 1 and off payload as 0. And deploy. And let's see what happens. Does it appear on the dashboard? That hasn't updated. That hasn't updated. Connecting, connecting. Why is it still saying connecting? There is something wrong here. It's not deploying. Is it because of what I've done? Is it this? Okay, let's disable. Can I, if I group this, group selection, and then can I disable the group? That would be a nice feature to have. Group, no, ungroup, okay. All right, I'm just going to disable that, just in case this is what's stopping it from...
Aaron Knox said, you editing dashboard 1. Aaron Knox said, that's a dashboard 1 node, not dashboard 2.
Oh, of course it is. That's why it's not appearing on there. But it should still have appeared in here, and it was not connecting. So... yeah, there is something else going on here. Where's dashboard 2? There's dashboard. Here's dashboard 2. You're... yes, you're absolutely right. Text input. Where is switch? Put it into that group. Name. I'll call it LED2. Change to 1 and 0. And is it going to deploy? No, what's the error on here?
Mitchell R
Valid
said,
number.
it did appear, but wasn't connecting.
Yeah.
Aaron Knox said, it did appear in dashboard 1 before you disabled it.
Oh, okay. It did appear. I didn't see it. Come on, why is it saying invalid properties, invalid number? Hang on, I'm changing that. I made that on payload 1 and this on payload 0.
Node said, does Node-RED have node conflict detection?
Node conflict detection. Don't know. I don't know what that means. But why is it complaining? Like, it's failing to save. See, when clicked send on payload, I've got it set to a number, and then I said, say 1. There's something bad happening here. Message.topic. Done. Size auto switch default. Yes. Yeah, it's like it's not saving what I'm setting. I don't know what's going on with that. All right, well, let's just use the dashboard one item. Hang on, no. I'm going to deploy. This is failing to connect. Maybe I need to reset the Pico or something. I'm going to try that. Reset the Pico. Where's reset? There's boot cell. Where's the reset button on the Pico? There's a boot cell button. I can't see a reset button. So I'm going to be brutal and unplug its USB and plug it back in again. All right. And still not connecting.
Said, change back to Boolean, save, then should be okay. Then go back, change to number and set number, then done. Seems a conflict in save.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's something going on here because it went to connected briefly and now it's back to connecting. I'm just going to see if anything comes up on there. So if I tap on those, yeah, we're not getting a message. So it's not connecting.
Said, the RPi is possessed.
Yeah.
Load said, node conflict. If you create two nodes that input to the same pin.
Ah, two nodes that input to the same pin. I don't actually have any other nodes doing anything with pin 2. This is pin 25. So that is 25, but all right, let's just delete that. We'll get rid of these. And this, in theory, should be the same as what I had when I connected it like 10 minutes ago, before I started messing around with trying to drive outputs. We've got pin 2 as an input. It hasn't changed its ID or anything. No, it's still on the same serial port. Now, as another test, okay, I'm going to do this again. So right now you can see that it is connecting. I have just unplugged the Pico and I'll plug it back in again. It says port not found, and then on the next attempt we'll see if it connects and whether the connection stays there. Maybe it doesn't. No. Sorry, just closing a few other things and coming back to the chat because I haven't even been able to see it. I've had Windows covering my screen. Lost connection to server. So Node-RED itself has gone away. What? Connection lost? Yeah, Node-RED has actually gone away on the, yeah, look at this. Directly on the Pico itself it says connection lost. Oh, and now it's connected. Connection re-established. Maybe it's the Pi that's possessed and not the Pico. Loading. Alright, we're back and it's connected. I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, let's try this all again. I'm going to go to dashboard 2, take a switch, and can I configure it to be a number?
Said, this is looking an awful lot like it was acting last week.
And will that save? Nope, it's gone back to true and false. So let's try switching to Boolean and saving it. Okay, now it's happy. And now I will go to number. On payload is 1. Do I need to say equal or something? Done. Oh, and now it's remembered. Okay. So we'll call that one LED, and then we'll bring in Arduino out, make it pin 25, and I won't give it a name. Maybe that was the problem. Oh, when you were talking about conflicting nodes earlier, was it because they both had...
Hammer works for me.
They both had the name LED? Oops. And what is the error that it is currently showing on this? Invalid properties, state. All right. It has no state. Type, Digital. All right. Now is it happy? Okay. Deploy. Connecting. Connecting. And failing to connect. So we got pin 2. I wonder if I deleted, like if I got rid of this node, if this one would now start working. Let's just try disabling the input. Well, the debug node shouldn't matter. Deploy again. And see if pin 25 can now connect.
Aaron Knox said, no, they are separate node-REDs. The names can be the same.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Jordan says, I suggest changing your deploy node to modify nodes only. Okay. Modified nodes. There we go. But it still is not connecting. I wonder if the problem is in relation to the pin number being that high. Like what happens?
Mitchell R said, Node-ACE is not the best with serial ports. Restart Node-RED service and should be good.
Ah. Okay. So I was just wondering if there was some limit, like the fact that I was calling to a pin number 25, which is higher than is available on something like an Uno. No. Okay, yeah, let's do the let's do that serial port thing as you suggested. So I'm going to re-enable this one and change this to 25 and deploy, yes, and now restart Node-RED. So can I restart Node-RED from inside here, or do I have to do it on the command
Aaron
line?
Knox said, it's when the runtime is restarted. I suspect it isn't enumerating the port properly again.
Yeah. So can I restart the runtime from here? Or do I need to get a console on the machine? I can always do it from here. What is it? Service CTL Node-RED.
Aaron Knox
Restart?
said, remove the conflicting config nodes like you did last week.
Okay. Config nodes. That was here somewhere, wasn't it? Configuration nodes. On all. What was the deal with those? Firmata, okay. I don't know. Unused? That one? Okay, let's delete that. Now we'll try a deploy. Successfully deployed, but not connected. Okay. Alright, I'm going to try, before restarting Node-RED, I'm going to unplug USB, plug it back in, and see if it comes good then, if it
Mitchell
enumerates.
said, first let's try the restart of the service to see.
Yep.
Aaron Knox said, the ones with zeros and not in use, so deleted.
The ones with zeros are not in use. Where were we? So that was on configuration nodes, on all flows, all with the ones with zeros. Oh, I know, I see what you mean. So that one, Node-RED dashboard. I don't know. Hang on, could you even see that? No. Okay. So here, you can see Node-RED dashboard doesn't have a number against it, whereas the other does. So maybe that needs to be deleted, but I don't know if this is in relation to the original dashboard. I don't know. I'm going to restart the service. What is the service called? Service. Please excuse me while I do a very
Aaron Knox
quick...
said, John, the chat is really far behind. You've often done what the chat message says 1 minute before message comes through.
Oh, okay. Chat is a... where are we? Node. Okay, I just did a Node-RED restart. And we shall see what happens here. See if it gets to the serial port again. All right, while that is happening, cough and coffee time. Well, well, well. Look what we have. We have a connected pin. And now what happens on the user interface? Oh, we've got a switch. All right, we've got to... I've got no idea if this is going to work because I haven't set anything properly. But let's see. If I click this switch, oh, the LED turned on. Could you see that? Just down there. Right there is that green LED. And on the user interface here, there's this green switch. And I can go ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. If I hit in the right place. Yes, we now have control over the over pin 25 using the switch in the user interface. Ah, progress. Yes. Here comes Mitchell's words of wisdom. Come on, TTS, say it. Yeah, it is a long way behind with saying things. But any moment now we'll hear from Mitchell. Okay, so say it.
Mitchell R. said, always remember kids, before you do anything, first turn it off and on again. Then if that fails, blame DNS.
Yes. DNS. Always DNS. And now we're measuring how long it takes before it says the word it. Did everybody...
Outside the box said, it.
Yeah. Did everybody start their stopwatches? Right, okay. And now, because we've just had some success, I feel it incumbent to pause for a moment. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at what was going on here, because I gave up trying to understand what was happening and I just linked the two nodes
Aaron
together.
Knox said, seems TTS suffers squirrels too and forgets its job.
Dirty name service, says Gerald. Yeah, so all I did was set a pin, okay, in the output node. And on the switch, I didn't set a topic or anything. I just said on payload, send numbers 1 or 0, and it's message topic. Okay, well, that
Wagon
is
Load
good.
said, screen slide switches seem like they don't always do what you hope.
No, wagon loads. I think that's just because I was missing it, because I wasn't looking at the screen that I was tapping on. I was looking at the monitor that had the camera that was looking at the screen. So I was tapping the screen, but I wasn't even hitting properly where the button was. That's why it looked like it was so intermittent. Scott says message.topic is rarely used in basic flows. Yeah, and it looks like it's just ignored in this. All right, so what it seems like is to control a pin, all we need to do is send a payload of that. So let's see what it's actually sending. I'm going to deploy that, clear debug. What is happening when I click on this? So we are seeing, oops, we are seeing payload 1. and that's it. Okay, so all we need to do is send the value that we want on that pin as the payload of 0 or 1, and then we can control that pin. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. Now, what next? I don't actually know what's next. I do not know. Well, what we could do is try this. Badunk-gadunk. Just for the fun of it. And now, if we switch to here, and I grab my trusty tweezers and do that, it's inverting because this is pulling to ground. See, the LED is off when I touch, when I ground input 2, because then it's sending a value. When I ground it, it sends a value of 0, and then 0 is going to output 25 and turning off the LED. So whenever I touch that, the LED is turned off. Okay, that actually makes sense. Name, digital pin. Yeah, so we've got no transformation options in here. It just sends whatever it is. So we could invert that with a function node or something, but it doesn't matter. I don't really care. It proves that we can link inputs and outputs and do useful things. Okay, so Jordan says you could create a subflow that has all your output pins and a switch node to set pin based on input.topic. Right, interesting. And now, okay, so Scott says now make Node-RED bitbang serial data out of Pico pin.
Scott Miller said, now make Node-RED bitbang serial data out of Pico pin.
Okay. Ooh, excuse me. Serial data out of Pico pin. So
Mitchell R said, want a squirrel for a bit and allow chat to control the LED? Slightly smiling face tongue out.
oh. Yes. Let's hook up the LED so that chat can control it. Dodgy! Good morning, Dodgy. Welcome. Stephen says you can use a 555.
Scott Miller said, why yes, I am a troll.
Yep. Stephen said you can use a 555 timer to generate an input for a pin 2 for a very complicated blink program. Yeah, that's right. Hardware into software into hardware. I've got a function generator here, so I could use that to generate a square wave and send that into the into pin 25. No, into pin 2 comes out 25 with software as an intermediary. Now I was just going to say that I'm kind of lost now about what the next step is, but the thing is that we actually need to go back a step because, oh, excuse me, my stomach is all over the place. Okay, we have this working, but what the hell is running on the Pico? It is, I do remember that whatever it is that is running on it, I remember making this comment last time, that the interface is running at 115,200 bits per second, which means that it is not the old standard Firmata, which runs at 57.6. Oh, Wagon Loads has joined as well. Hello, Wagon Loads. It is configurable Firmata. Okay, says Jordan. Yeah. So Jordan is speaking with authority there. Confident in the statement. I believe you, Jordan. So the thing is, why does configurable Firmata no longer compile for me? What is going on? Is it just that it's the upload method? Because maybe it won't compile. Maybe that was the issue. All right, what I'm thinking of doing is I do not want to disturb the Pico that is currently installed. I'm going to grab another Pico because somehow I have ended up with a surplus extra numerary Picos. Where? In the testimeter box. Just down here. Oh, I just moved something. So this is a squirrel. 3D printing related. During the week, I needed some more 3D printing filament. For quite a while now, I have been primarily using PETG, and just because I like its characteristics. Its bed adhesion is very good. I find that I get far more success printing PETG than I do with PLA. It's slightly flexible, which is not so good in some situations.
Scott Miller said, second Pico and second RPI. Build up a test bed.
Yeah, you're right. I probably shouldn't screw up this one. And I do have a spare Pi. Where was it? It's right here on the bench. Yeah, I shouldn't disturb what is already working. Where was I? So anyway, I went to Aurorum, which is a filament manufacturer just based in Ringwood, just down the street from me, and to get some more PETG. And the guy at Aurorum said, "Have you tried PCTG?" And I said, "Why no? Please tell me about PCTG." And the end result was that I bought a roll to test with. And so far, I am impressed. It seems very, very good. So this is, this is a couple of things printed with PCTG. They're not exciting things. These are just, this is actually like a mounting thing for a project that I'm working on. PCBs screw into these mounting points. This screws onto an aluminium chassis. So the actual pieces are not important, but the result turned out well. And from what, yeah, and apparently PCTG is 10 times as strong as PETG, like the breaking, the tensile strength. And at Aurorum, they've got one of those stress testing jigs where you print a piece in a standard shape and then you attach it to the jig and apply force to it, and you just keep applying force until it breaks or until the piece fails. And he showed me some of their test samples.
Sent some goodies via Discord for you and TTS commands, slightly smiling face.
Ooh. Yeah, so they destructively test the different filaments. And
Scott Miller said, live destructive test.
Install PubNub Node-RED config, say subscribe to this channel. Okay, I will try to engage my brain with following those instructions in a moment, Mitchell. Anyway, point is, PCTG, it comes up with a very shiny sort of finish generally, and it seems incredibly strong and also more thermally stable than PETG, so better for hot environments, better UV resistance, I think. So it's the sort of thing that you can use to print stuff that's going to be outside in the sun for years and have it last well. All right. Wagonloads asked, are 3D printers good enough to make Lego feet for PCBs? Yes, you could definitely do that. Jack's Tech said strong but brittle. No, not brittle. Far less brittle than, say, PLA. PLA is much more brittle. PETG is a lot stronger in terms, it can deal with a lot more abuse than PLA. So if you haven't used it before, imagine a Coke bottle like a, you know, a soft drink bottle, how they're very thin and they're sort of flexible. Like when they're empty, you can just sort of smush them around with your fingers, but you can't, if you tried to rip one with your hands, you would have to be like as strong as Hercules. Even though those bottles are really thin, you try ripping a Coke bottle.
Said, are 3D printers good enough to make Lego feet for PCBs?
Yeah, if you try ripping a Coke bottle with your bare hands, it is really, really hard. They're very strong. And things like soft drink bottles are made out of PETG. So PETG is very, very strong. And this is 10 times as strong. So this is PCTG, 10 times the braking force required as PETG. So yeah, almost indestructible parts. Very, very strong. Now, back to this. All right, let's have a look. So TTS on Node-RED. Install PubNub in Node-RED. Okay, PubNub. Let's see if I can follow Mitchell's instructions here. So is that in Manage Palette, Install PubNub? PubNub contrib PubNub. Okay, install. I'm trusting you here, Mitchell. I'm sure you could hear that car go past. There is crazy stuff going on out there. Maybe after the stream I'll grab a deck chair and some popcorn. What am I doing? Okay, PubNub. So, has it installed? Is it installing? I don't know. PubNub. Okay. And that sounds like a motorbike. I don't know what the hell that was. Sounded like an aerial atom. But I wasn't quite quick enough to see it. So PubNub. PubNub. Where is it? PubNub. Where are the PubNub nodes? Oh, there we go. PubNub in. I seriously want to see what that is. No, it's not quite. When it was coming from a distance, I thought it was a motorbike, but then when it got closer, yeah, that's laying some rubber. When it got closer, it just kept sounding bigger and bigger and bigger, whatever it was. I think it was a car, but like a...
Wagon Load said,
yeah.
Is that new 3D filament good for quadcopter frames? Scott Miller
Dunno.
said, motorized squirrels.
Yeah, motorized squirrels, all right. Okay, so no... Oh, it's taken me 5 minutes to follow the first step of Mitchell's instructions. Okay, add new PubNub keys. I am not going to show you this because I don't know if... I'm just going to switch to that view for a moment. Publish key, subscribe key. So I'm going to use the subscribe key as that. Where do I add the user ID? Channel user ID? Subscribe to the channel. Okay, so we've got a channel. I'm copying, at the moment, copying and pasting stuff out of Mitchell's instructions. Auth key, cipher key, SSL keys. There is nowhere to put a user ID into it. Yep, keep these keys hidden. Yeah, I'm not showing this. Pub key can be blank. Yes. So pub key is blank. Demo key. Oh, I put the demo key in and then it disappeared again. All right, I'm going to put the sub key back in. And sub key back in, add. Client ID / user ID. Yes, user ID, client ID. Where is the client ID?
Peter Lawler said, give us all your keys all the time.
Yeah, the subscribe key just keeps reverting back to demo every time I go into it. So I'm just going to, and there is nowhere to put in a client ID or user ID. So keys, demo, no. Sub, demo, sub, what? Sub. I'm going to try that one. Oh, okay. That's what it is. Okay, don't worry about client ID and user. All right. Auth token, cipher key, they're all blank. All right, I think I have this configured, but can I give it a name so that it doesn't show, because it shows the channel in the node itself if I display it on screen. And add this pub key. Okay. Maybe it needs both pub and sub keys. Okay. All right. I'll add that pub key. Let's see what happens. All right. Got a pub and a sub key. I want to change the name of that node because it is showing the channel name in the node itself. Channel can be seen. Okay. In that case, I'm going to switch back to this view. All right, so now we have this. So my guess is that what's coming out of that is can we just feed it straight into there and then deploy? Let's see what happens. So now we're listening on this and it's connected to pin 25. So I don't know what the end result of this is going to be. In fact, I'm curious. I'm going to get rid of that. Stick a debug thing onto there so we can see what's going on. Send to debug. Yep. All right, so now we have the output of command event going to this debug node. And it will look like this, command args chan author. Alrighty, so then we can do some processing to deal with it. So if something gets sent to it, I've got no idea where this is coming from. Is this coming from the chat? Send to debug, yep. So is this coming from the chat? I don't even know what this is listening to. LED 0 says Aaron Knox.
Wagon Load said, you define a key as a password?
Don't know. All right. As far as I can see, I've hooked it up. I just don't know what happens next. There we go. We got a message. We have a message. And it is object channel. Okay. So this came through. So Aaron's saying it. Yeah, okay, so Mitchell says, yes, my service parses the chat and on command events will send to you as well. Okay, so command LED, and here is something coming, they're coming through now, nothing's coming from chat. All right, so what I could do is, if command is LED, and the args was a space in front of it, so I would need to do something like...
Aaron Knox said, nothing's coming from chat as you haven't told us the command.
Yep. So it looks
Peter
like...
Lawler said, yay coffee.
I need to do some parsing here. So, where's a function node? Let's take a function, stick it here. I'm going to stick that into there. And what are we going to do? We're going to say if...
Aaron Knox said, switch node arts to payload.
Oh, hang on. Where's this? Node arts to payload. Node arts? What's node arts? Ooh. Do you hear those pops and bangs? Node arts. Sorry, my mind has gone totally blank. What is node arts? You can just use a change node. Okay, change node. Change node. Here we go. Change node. Oh, args. I couldn't figure that out. Node args. Say args is either 0 or 1, assuming Mitchell R is filtering only those payloads to come through. No, I think all of them are coming through. I don't think there's any filtering going on here. I think this is taking everything from TTS. So set rules. Okay. Change. Search for. Yep, no filtering. Wagon Load says, connect a relay to the LED pin and wire the relay to the coffee maker. Yeah. I'm just going to clear.
Aaron Knox said, args is either 0 or 1, assuming that Mitchell R is filtering only those payloads to come through. Wagon Load said, connect a relay to the LED pin and wire the relay to the coffee maker.
Okay. Yeah, this is... yes. Sorry, total brain fade again. What the hell am I doing? All right, searching for 0, 1. Or no, it was space 1, and I want to change it to a number of 1. And I'll add another one, and I'll do a change message.payload. If it is the string space 0, change it to the number 0. Okay. And then send that to there, and get rid of that, and deploy. Yeah. Actually, what I should do is, just to see what's going on here, do that. What is coming through? Okay, so now, if we say, Aaron says, use a switch node, message.payload.args to message.payload. Okay. Change message.payload. Set message.payload.args.
Aaron Knox said, John uses switch node MSG, payload, args to MSG, payload.
I guess like this is perhaps what you are referring to.
Aaron Knox said, switch node, you're using a change node.
Oh, switch node. Okay. I thought you were saying to use a change node. Someone said to use a change node. All right, switch node. So, property, message.payload, .args, checking all rules. I don't know. I'm losing track of this. Too many conflicting things. What have we got here? And yeah, this might be a thing for another day. Assuming args is a number and not a string. No, but it is a string. It's coming through as a string. Yeah, okay, Mitchell sent some code, some example code in Discord, but that is, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was, kind of what I was heading towards in a function node. which would also filter on the LED. If payload.command is equal to LED, yeah, no, yes, this is all fun, but
Mitchell R said, I sent some code example in Discord. Not sure how to use in Node-RED.
yep, I've got that, thank you. But what I am trying to figure out now is, so I'm just looking for another cable. What cable is that? Is that USB? That is the correct cable. LED 1, let's try it. All right, now the thing is that there have been like 4 different suggestions for how to achieve this end result. What we've got here at the moment is message, no, let's get rid of that. Let's clear that, add one, set message.payload to the value what's here? Nope, LED, args, circular, blah, I don't know what's going on there. All right, let's change message.payload, search for a string of space 0. I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. Number 0. And, oops, I needed another one. Add, change message.payload, searching for a string of space 1. And change it to number 1. Because it was coming through as a string that we were seeing before in the debug. Anyway, but what I need to do...
John, so is there a defined test routine for each board? Meaning which pins to probs and what their expected values should be?
Yeah, well, that is the big question. You are, yes. What I need is a way to define tests. Hang on, what I've just done is just plugged a new Pico in.
Scott Miller said, giving instructions for a graphical system through text just hurts.
Yes, it does. So I feel like I was floundering there, and this seems like fun, Mitchell, but I think this is something to play with another time, or for me to mess around with after the stream or something. Anyway, so what I was just about to do was or maybe no, there wasn't a binary. Okay, so what I want to do is put default UF2 programmer Pico. Okay, so I've got a brand new Pico I just pulled out of a piece of tape and plugged it into my computer. So let's see, upload method UF2. Let's see what happens if I do this now with this mounted, because I want to figure out what is going on with why I can't compile configurable Firmata now when I could last Sunday. And we've seen it working. Like, it's on that Pico that is running right now.
Aaron Knox said, maybe a JSON file that defines the pins to test what input per pin and expect output.
Yes. It's slightly more complicated than that though, because there are analog readings as well, and I need to check whether they're within a certain range. Yeah. Anyway, that is a big topic. I want to get into that. That's actually what I was thinking of starting to investigate today. But I need to get to the starting line, and the starting line is being able to install Firmata on a Pico and talk to it. So why can't I do it today when I could do it last week? What is this error? Pin SPI SDK was not declared in this scope, and it is in configurable Firmata boards, blah. It's like the board. It's
Some
like
Call
it's
It Fun said, Ewan reposted in Discord what you had said Fixit last time in the general channel.
yeah, which was installing DHT, but there must have been something else. Raspberry Pi Pico. Am I picking the wrong core? Am I? So it's none of these. It must be the Raspberry Pi Pico RP2040.
Aaron Knox said, we could still do that in a JSON file quite easily.
Yes, you're right.
I'm
we
going
could.
to have a play as this is interesting.
Okay, cool. The more people playing on this, the less work I have to do. Okay, so I've got an RP2040. I've got a Raspberry Pi Pico selected. What else do I need to do? I've got, I don't know what the, just 2 megabytes, yes, CPU speed, whatever, default will do.
Wagonload said, does Firmata use MAC addresses?
I don't know. I've got no idea. Debug disable, debug Pico SDK. Yeah, I think that's all default. I don't think I've changed anything on here. I haven't done anything on there. Port. Is there a Lowland plugged in right now? Do I have something else plugged in? I don't know. It thinks it's an ESP8266 plugged in. Maybe there is. Programmer, no programmers available. And it is complaining about this, looking for, oops, configurable Firmata, SPI pin handler, blah, did you mean pin SPI 0 SCK? I did not mean that, or not mean that. Multiple libraries were found for servo. Yeah, I don't think these are cause. I don't think these are the cause of the issue. I think these are outcomes of whatever the issue is. But what I don't understand is why it's not compiling for this target board. So configurable Firmata. Am I even looking at the right source code? I thought it was configurable Firmata. So configurable Firmata does not compile. Does standard Firmata compile for the RP2040? No. Please edit boards.h with hardware abstraction for this board. Yeah, that does not compile for RP2040.
Jordan Reese said, you needed a specific board, not the default RP2040.
Oh. I think it was the embed version. Oh. Yeah, it definitely, that's why I was looking in here before, because it feels like a board profile problem. Embed, where was it?
Wagonload said, can you have multiple boards connected on Firmata and address each target board by name?
You can. Because they all get their own, sorry, distracted by looking through the list. Yeah, they get their own connection. So what you do is you define the connection to the board. I'll show you that in just a second. Adafruit Metro RP2040, was that the one? Embed, no, embed, Adrian, it's listed in the board section on GitHub. Oh, okay. Where is it in here? Where? Oh, this is it. This is it. Thank you very much, Jordan. You are absolutely right. I am pretty confident this will now solve the problem. So we've got the Arduino Embed OS RP2040 boards, Raspberry Pi Pico. All right, I'm going to select that, and I'm pretty confident now that this will compile once it finishes doing its board switch. Oh, that's a relief. Okay. I was insane after all. Come on. Compile. Compiling sketch. Yeah, I bet this will work now. So I've got the... in fact, that question about multiple picos, we can test that right now. We can experiment. So compiling. Done compiling. All right, upload. I should have done that the first time. Should have clicked the upload button instead of the compile button, because now it's got to compile again. Loading into Flash. Done uploading. Now this is where I've got to wait. Last week I think I got too excited and I pulled it out too soon. Oh, that came across so wrong. Let's... Okay, I just got a message saying that it
Peter
was...
Lawler said, 9 minutes.
saying that it was not disconnected properly. Okay, I'm going to unplug that Pico and plug it into a different port on the Pi. Come on. Oh, come on. Why can't I plug a USB cable in? Why won't... Seriously! I'm looking at the USB port. I got it the right way around, it wouldn't go in. Okay. Oh, this is sounding so bad. Okay, so now I've now got two Picos plugged in. You can see there, the one sitting on the top sort of left diagonal, that is the one that has just been flashed with Firmata right now. So that was brand new out of the tape. So if we now come back to here, let's have a look at this. And I am going to get rid of that, and I'll move that out of the way for now. So what we've got, I'll move that out of the way. So we've got LED and we've got pin 25. I'm just going to join these back together. So this is now the switch on the interface, which is driving pin 25 on the first Pico. So now what I'm going to do is make another pin 25, but this one's going to be on the second Pico. So I'm going to add this, and instead of being TTY ACM 0, I'm going to add one, and it is going to be, well, let's see what happens if I search. Does it find one? Searching. No, I don't think I had success with that. Dev TTY ACM 1. I'm totally going to guess and just assume that that is what it has been set to. It's digital, it's pin 25. I'm going to give it the name of Pico 2 LED. And I'm going to add another switch and link it. I'll call this one LED 2 and deploy. Being totally gung-ho about this, you can see that there was a connection on the first Pico. Now there is a connection on the second Pico. So back to here, wake up the touchscreen, and come on, scroll the screen. There we go. All right, so we have the second switch. Let's see if it works. It works! Did you see that? Look, there's the LED. There's the second switch. So I can turn the LED on the second Pico on and off. Turn it on. And now on the first Pico, the other button, I can turn that on and off. So I now have control of the LEDs on both Picos independently using two buttons on the touchscreen. Yes, we have dual blinking lights. Yeah, Scott answered Wagon Loads and says, yes, you address the boards from Node-RED by their port. Yes. And Scott says, now find a way to guarantee the port numbers don't change. Yeah, that is done using, yeah, you can create rules like in the USB, what is it called? There's a filter. Hello two worlds. Yeah, basically what you can do is configure.
Peter Lawler said, yay BLINKENLIGHTS. Scott Miller said,
yes.
now, find a way to guarantee the port numbers don't change.
Yes, and the answer to that, as Alistair said, is UDEV. So UDEV rules are mapping USB devices based on filters that you can apply, which can, so what you can do is filter on the vendor ID and the VID, UID, VID, PID. I can't remember. Whatever the thing is. So there's an ID. When you plug a USB device in and it enumerates, there is an ID which says what company it was from, which is the vendor ID, and then there is an ID that says what the particular product or the device is. So what you can do is say, oh, and then there is also like a unique identifier, a serial number essentially, like for the specific device. So what you can do is say when this, and you can filter to different levels. So you could say when a device from this vendor with this product ID is plugged in, treat it like this. But it doesn't matter which one of those devices is plugged in. But then you can narrow it down and say when this product ID, like this vendor ID, this product ID, and this device ID is exactly this, then treat it like this, and you can map it to a specific device in the tree and all that sort of thing. GID. Yes. Scott says, far as I've found, RP2040 doesn't have a UID itself. Have to use the flash serial number somehow. That's odd. I thought, thinking about this, I think I might not be correct.
Wagonload said, can you put the board name so the name replaces the port ID with the name?
Yeah, that's what you would use a UDEV rule for. But I thought that the USB spec said that devices had to have a unique ID in addition to a product ID. But I could be wrong. Maybe they don't have to have a unique ID. Yeah. Don has just stuck in the chat, dev serial by ID USB blah. Yeah, so you can use, okay, thanks Don. So let me see, I'm going to have a quick look in here. I'll bring this back up and then what am I looking for? Dev serial by ID and star. Okay, there we go. So we got, look at that folks. Thank you Don for pointing that out. That is incredibly helpful. So this means we could do this without actually using UDEV rules or anything else. Look, you can see that the ID here is slightly different. So what I could do is, all right, I'm going to take this device and copy that and go to this Pico here. So this is the second Pico, and you can see that I put dev TTY ACM1 in as the serial port. But now if we switch back to here, we can see...
Wagonload said, that was why I asked about MAC addresses earlier.
Yeah, okay, I see. I think I understand the question now. I misunderstood. So when I heard MAC address, my brain went to Ethernet, and I couldn't see how that related. But no, your question was spot on. So if we reference it as this, it should always go to, it should always be the device, regardless of whether it's ACM1 or 0 or anything else. So what we could do is in here, if we edit ACM1 and do that, and done and deploy, that should now work. So Pico 2 should connect, I hope. Maybe. Is it going to? Maybe it won't. No. I was so confident that was going to work. But maybe this is the whole serial port remuneration issue that we were seeing before. So I'm going to unplug that Pico and then plug it back in. And we'll see if it connects. No. All right, I'm going, oh, it did. It has connected. So now, if we go back to looking at this same switch should now work on this Pico still. There we go. LED on, LED off, on, off. And we're off, rather. And we're now referencing it using the, using this device instead of ACM1. So if I plug this device in future, and there is already a dev TTY ACM1, it shouldn't matter. This device should work. So this link in Node-RED is now bound to that very specific Pico, regardless of what port it ends up, like what serial thing it ends up being mapped to on here. Now, most of the time, that is not actually what you want, because you want to be able to replace the Pico and have it just come up on the same port, etc. But if you've got multiple Picos, or if you've got issues where enumeration is not consistent, this is a way to get around it. Yes. Yes. Alistair said, I use that for my power monitoring, set up multiple USB to RS485 widgets to talk to inverters and car chargers. I assign a static name based on the USB path. Yeah, groovy. Yes, so that's using UDEV, I believe, is what Alistair was talking about there. USB serial will be set by firmware. Donna said Z-Wave stick. Yeah, must be an RPi thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I need to I need to make notes, because I can't I don't remember things. My brain is not okay, the path looks like it includes the VID and PID, which would be static. The IF value may change based on the enumeration order. You probably need to patch the firmware to include the MCU serial number too. Okay. Oh, Scott said, here's something weird. Just restarted the two RP2040 zeros plugged into my dev machine, and one of them populated that way, but not both. That's odd. I would have thought they would always populate that way. Yes. And Aaron is about to say something on TTS. Same pin for both input and output. Is going to be an issue. No, not necessarily. All right, so Aaron said, I'm looking at the Arduino nodes, and it states in the node properties window, note, you cannot use the same pin for both output and input. I'm assuming this is going to be an issue. And Aaron then goes on to say, I'm assuming your test will want to set a pin value and then read a value from the same pin. No, not necessarily.
I'm assuming your test will want to set a pin value and then read a value from the same pin.
Not necessarily. I'm thinking through the test setup, and I'm wondering if I've got two pins drive, because what you can do is on the breakout, so on this part of the whole game that we are playing here. We've got these pogo pins coming up here. You can see them sticking up, that engage with test points on the bottom of the PCB here. And if you wanted to be able to drive one and also read from that same test point, I drive the test point and read the test point, I could do that easily by taking that one pin and taking it to 2 GPIOs. What I could do, for example, is connect it to a digital pin for driving it as an output, and I could take the same pin to an analog input, and that should work fine. So that would resolve the software conflict by fixing it in hardware. And we could then do things like drive that pin using the output, but you can also turn the output off, put it into a high impedance state. Maybe? Oh, maybe you can't do that in Node-RED. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm trying to think of whether there are any situations where I care about that. I suspect there aren't. Because the way I've got this set up, it's generally input pins and output pins. So in this case, so what we might want to do, for example, is have output pins that drive like GPIO 0 to put it into bootloader mode, or we might want to simulate inputs going into the target device and then measure how the device responds, which will be somewhere different. It'll be like, this is a relay, for example. So we want to be able to detect the relay output, and there are pins for that on here that make contact underneath, so we can detect when the relay fires. So we can drive an input like, say, drive a tamper input or an infrared, like a PIR input, and see the device respond and turn the relay on. We can see that, but that's 2 different paths.
Wagon Load said, can you do something like, if name, use name, else use port?
I don't think you can do that in the configuration. So what we're talking about here is configuration of that particular Node-RED node, and it's just got a configuration string, which is the path to the port that it needs to connect to. So I don't think you can. You can't put logic in it. If we were writing our own code from scratch, yes, we could do that. That would make sense. So, what am I doing here? What am I doing? It's 12:08. I'm thinking about what to do next on this. So now that I can finally, thanks to Jordan reminding me, I can reproducibly put Firmata on a Pico, and now we can control and read from the Pico, as we can see here. So the question becomes, all right, here, I'm going to end with this. This is a question that I have been going around and around in my head with. And also, just before I get to that, one thing you can see is this is the prototype of the test rig, and it'll take a board up to that size. Like, that's the biggest that we could make a module that fits in there, and this kind of doesn't fit. Like, not even a little bit. So we need to make a much bigger chassis for the test system that will take a module like this. Also, this module needs to be modified so that it has one of these intermediate layers comes out a bit wider, and then
Scott Miller said, do it. Write custom nodes.
Yeah, we could write custom nodes. And then the back needs to be opened, and there'll be a corresponding slot down the sides. So this module, I mean, it's a bit cumbersome, but this is the concept, is the module will slide in from the back and engage with the connector on the front. And I have PCI connectors currently en route from LCSC. So based on conversations a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to experiment with putting like the gold fingers on the front here. So this is going to be like a PCI connector on the front of the module. Instead of these IDC connectors, it's going to be like a PCI connector, or like a PCI card. So it'll slide forward and engage with a PCI socket mounted on a vertical card in here. So that's all on the way. So the mechanical side of that is going to change dramatically. This is all going to become pluggable modules, etc. But from the software side, this is the conundrum. All right, I will explain or attempt to explain the conundrum that I'm facing. So let me show you what I currently have. Well, now that dashboard 2 is working, I could just delete all of this because I currently have dashboard 1 and dashboard 2 doing effectively the same thing. Like if I go into Node-RED dashboard here, select a client, and then select a device, put in a serial, and then start the test. In Testomatic in here, I've got the same thing. Select a client, select a device, put in a serial, and then start the test. They both do the same thing. So I don't actually need the old dashboard V1 stuff anymore.
That was my suggestion weeks ago.
Yes, wagon loads, that's right. I do not claim any of this as being my idea. This is this is all me stealing the best ideas from other people. It's just that I often forget to give credit, because usually I can't remember who it was that said certain things. I can't remember 5 minutes ago, let alone a couple of weeks ago, and who suggested certain things. All right, so what we have here, this group that you can see highlighted here, this is what is currently running the test setup, and it's providing the user interface that is right here, and it is calling out to testrunner.py. So testrunner.py, cd testrunner is my very crude, let's zoom this in a bit more, my very crude Python script that does some stuff. So it accepts arguments that are passed into it. These arguments are passed in from Node-RED. So when this script that you're looking at right now is executed here, it is invoked by clicking the begin test button and the start test, and it it runs this home testomatic testrunner.py and does its stuff and outputs to the screen here and outputs to debug as well. So this is what's run, and at the moment, so it accepts the arguments
Scott Miller said, long gone are the days of developing from scratch on bare hardware.
Yep, very long
Scott Miller
gone.
said, people don't even write hello world anymore.
I do, all the time.
The Lane said, great minds led by John.
Hardly led. Great minds, yes, but not really led by me. So I've got, yeah, so when you click that start button on the touchscreen, it calls out to this script and it passes in the arguments for the target, which is it'll be rack 32 or whatever it is, and the serial number. Then, so you can see here, it's got the SKU and the serial. Then, and you can see that the last person that was running this was Tom. Because this is currently hard-coded, it should be selectable or something in the UI. That's something else to fix in the future. Then it pulls out the target. So it looks in the targets directory, finds, say, rack 32, and bails if it can't find the target, and sets some time stuff, says where it's going to send the report, and it then loads the manual checks file, and it loads the target configuration in target.ini. So So far, what it does is generate the test report, load the firmware. Where are we? Up here somewhere. Up here. Where? Where? Values that have overrides, print file, test report. Okay, here. I can't even find it. So it installs the firmware by running an upload script. So we've got 2 scripts so far for each target. We've got
said, my first breadboard was a masonite pegboard and erector screws.
Perfect. So we've got the generalized script, which is the one we're looking at right now, which is always invoked, and then it calls out to an upload script which is specific per target board, and that's where we say what the path of the binary to install, the path to the
Scott
upload
Miller
script.
Said, RFID reader to determine test personnel by embedded chip.
Yeah, you got to be implanted in order to use it.
Peter Lawler said, growl.
So the yes, okay, growl, Peter. It then uses the appropriate upload script based on the target. But that is all it does. It then includes the manual checks, prints the test report, takes a photo if photos are enabled for that particular target, and bails. That's it. All right, so now I am now at a decision point, which is I could either do the same thing as I've got here, which is have an external script that runs the external tests per target. So inside the target, I could define a tests.sh file, for example, or a script, or a tests.py, whatever, and invoke it. So that would then do the job of driving the I/O pins, reading the responses, and checking whether it passes or fails the test, and then outputting a result. So that could be all contained within an external script, or it could be done in Node-RED. So there are advantages and disadvantages to both. So if I do it in an external script, it means that it is kind of self-contained. The test runner framework and the Node-RED doesn't have to know anything about any of the devices that it's testing or how to test them. It just calls out to the little helper test scripts within those target definitions. We've got, where is it? Targets, here. So we've got the DUT directory, the device under test directory, which is targets, SKU, blah. So this is how it finds all the things. So what it means is I would have one directory that contains everything related to testing that target. And I could even invoke it manually, like I could run things off the command line without using Node-RED. And just use Node-RED to trigger the tests. The other way to do it...
Said, where is the time announcement says it is lunchtime plus 18 minutes?
I think Peter has given up on calling me about running overtime. Okay, the alternative is I could come into Node-RED and I could define the tests in here. So what we could be doing... Oh, excuse me. So what we could be doing is I could create a new flow for testing the RAC32. And when we begin testing, it would then invoke the test sequence on the RAC32, which could be driving outputs, reading inputs, doing all of those sorts of things. And then the result of all of that goes back to, and is displayed to the operator and added to the test report. I don't know. It feels kind of icky to me to have test definitions in Node-RED in here. I suppose the thing to do is to try implementing it in both and see which way feels better. So if I can figure out, okay, what are the tests that I want to execute on a particular, like just an example target board, like maybe this one, and think through, okay, I need to drive these outputs from the test jig, I need to read these inputs from the target board, and how do I implement that, and then implement it in Node-RED and implement it in Python as a standalone script, and just see which one seems like a more sensible approach. But I am curious to know but I'm curious to know from people what you think it should be. So what should I implement these tests as a little Python script, or should I implement them in Node-RED? My inclination is to implement them as standalone scripts within the test directory for that target. Oops. Because doing some, well, it makes it easier for versioning, because what I can do is I can manage that directory using Git, and then if I change tests, and I can deploy those tests onto multiple test jigs by just git checkout that particular
Scott Miller said,
thing.
Embedding the tests in the UI seems bad.
Yeah, but if I say I want to update a test in, I modify a test on a test system, and then I want to propagate that same updated test onto another test jig, I then have to transfer the Node-RED config over, like export the flows from one and import them onto the other.
Look at my last suggestion.
Okay, where is Wagonloads' last suggestion? So Wagonload says test path equals dir/test plus serial num dot txt. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I was saying here. So if I exit out of here, so I've got a targets directory already, and you can see I've got a number of targets. If I go into, let's pick one, MCM will do. So you can see I've got manual checks. Releases is where all the binaries are. That's just to keep it into a subdirectory. Target.ini and upload.sh. What I would end up with is just a touch tests.sh. And just to make it look like it, chmod plus x tests. So I would end up with a tests.sh file, which would be executed. So in the in here, test runner, what I would do is have yeah, wherever wherever it is. Installing command targets upload.sh. Yeah, it'll be like this. So I'm not going to actually keep this because and it would be wrapped around like if file exists and all of those sorts of things. Du target, and it would be test.sh. So that'd basically be it. Like this line that I've just added here, it would be looking in the targets directory for the specific target and then running the tests file. So that would be a Python script that would do all of the driving of, basically it needs to be a Firmata client. So it would need to, so that's one of the next things, of course, as well, is implementing some of this stuff as a Firmata client in just going to get rid of all that. In fact, I'm going to quit without writing. Yeah. Oh, Scott says manual checks.txt is executable. It actually, yeah, I don't know why. What should it be? 660 manual checks. Is that better? I think that's better. Yeah, I don't know why it ended up as executable. The test by test number. Okay, so so Wagon Loads is about to say something. We'll see if TTS comes through. In the meantime, Stephen said if you need to have multiple testers, you could have scripts in Git and control via Ansible. Yes. Yeah. I am leaning towards keeping the UI as just the UI and having all of the test definitions in the directory as scripts run on the command line, which means that all of the messing around we've been doing with getting Node-RED working getting Firmata working in Node-RED is not actually useful. We're not going to be using that. But it did help figure out Firmata on the Pico, so it was good from that respect. But what we won't be doing is using...
Said, my suggestion means you have only one path, and the board ID itself calls the test that board needs. The board defines the test by test number.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I understand the distinction that you're making, because it's not the board serial number that matters, it's the SKU, which is the board type. So suggestion means you have only one path and the board ID itself calls the test that the board needs. Yeah, that's what it does. That's what, if we go back to here, that is exactly how this works. So that's what this variable is here. DUT target, that is what defines the path for that specific board. So if it's a rack 32, it would look in targets/rack32/upload.sh or targets/rack32/tests.sh. So once you know what the board is, it defines the path to the upload script and the manual checks and the target configuration and whatever else. So I think we're saying the same thing, unless I'm misunderstanding what you're talking about. Maybe I'm missing a subtlety here. So yeah, so what we would have is just this. Everything else disappears. This is the old obsolete one, so that disappears. And none of this would be in there because we are not talking to the Pico from Node-RED. We are talking to the Pico from the script which is invoked by test runner. So we start the test running script, which then does the Firmata connections to the Pico and does all of the testing. Okay.
Outside the box said, are we being paid overtime? Is TTS working?
Yes. And
Scott Miller said, next, put a tiny serial ROM on every board for the Pico to read the DUT type from.
Yeah.
Smiley face.
Yes. So that has been mentioned before. So what we've talked about before is putting an EEPROM on this board, on the breakout. So when you attach the module in here, you can read what this board is, and then you know what it is that you're meant to be testing. So that is, yes. That is definitely an improvement that I should make. In fact, I should do that because I've ordered the PCI sockets, but I haven't done any design work yet on a PCB for the tester thing that slides into it. Yeah, Wagonlows just said, can you hot swap different boards and the right test script is auto called? Yeah, that would solve this issue. Jackstack said, replace the path with a network share and you fix the tester syncing issue. Even better, still pull it straight from your Git. Yeah. Jackstack said, downward facing camera with QR codes. well, I already have a downward facing camera. Oh, there are so many things I wanted to get to today. This is the thermal camera. I wanted to get the thermal camera working on the Pi. Also, I already have a downward looking camera which takes a regular photo of the board when it's tested. Andrew Brown said Pi Firmata for your test scripts. Yes, something like that. So the script that will call the tests will need a Firmata library of some kind. And yeah, Pi Firmata is probably the thing to use. Wagonload said, is an onboard ROM better than RFID? I think so. Cheaper. RFID readers are kind of expensive. An onboard ROM is like 50 cents. So, yeah. Oh, Jacksec said, yep, use that camera to determine the DUT type. Yeah, but that's true. That could be done, but it's not necessary because the thing is that the modules that are used for testing are not frequently changed. Well, basically you do a batch of boards and you need the correct adapter module installed. But you're not testing different boards in the same adapter module. So as long as the tester can detect the adapter module and know what it is, then you're fine. Because
Wagonload said, is onboard ROM better than RFID?
Yes, but just for pricing reasons. Build the DUT ROM from discrete diodes. Yeah. Jacksec says printed labels are cheaper than ROM chips. Yes, but there's only a small number of them because the thing is that the ROM goes on the tester adapter board, this thing, the tester module, and there are only ever going to be like 1 or 2 of these made per target board type. So there will be one of these, at least one of these for each target board, but it's not like I'm making hundreds of these. I'm just making like 2 per target board. So a 50-cent ROM on it doesn't matter. The ROM does not go on the target board itself. That doesn't need it. It may have a ROM for its own purposes, but that's not relevant to this. In terms of identifying what board you're testing, if you know what tester you have plugged in, then you're good, because no other board is going to fit into that. Like if I was trying to test this board, it's not going to work. It would be its own adapter module. This is the only board that will ever go into this test adapter. So it's just identifying the test adapter. And because I don't care what the test adapters cost. So they could be, I could go for ENIG, I could go for 4-layer boards or whatever. Like if it costs me $20 or $30 to make one of those, who cares? Because I'm only ever making 1 or 2 to test hundreds or thousands of boards that are going to be plugged into it. Scott says, oh, flash chip on the test board with the test scripts in it. Yeah, no, that's taking it to a whole new level. Stephen says, ROM chips ensure the board always identifies itself to the software running the test. If the test software detects the wrong tester board, it can error. Yeah, matching up the device under test to the tester. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem though. For those reasons that I pointed out before, I can't see a situation where 2 boards will plug into the same tester and fit, because they're different dimensions, they've got pins in different places and all of those sorts of things. So as long as I can identify the test module that is plugged in, then I'm good. Okay, so anyway, there is a whole other thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is the firmware that goes on the device under test while it is being tested. And this is an issue because sometimes you can do your testing with production firmware on the target, but sometimes you can't. And what I have just started doing for one particular client is writing test firmware that just exercises different parts of the board and then responds over the serial console What I'm thinking of doing, at the moment what it's doing is just dumping out, in fact I can show you, I think, can I show you? I think it's this board. Yes, I can show you. I am going to power this board up and plug power in there. And what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to open a serial monitor and just want to get this, see if this is working. Nope, that's not working. All right. Tools. USB serial, yes. So why did I not get anything on the serial console? Oh, it's because I was pressing the wrong button. Okay, here we go. So what I will do is clear that, bring this up here. Yeah, so just as a first pass, what I did was I started creating some firmware that checks for different peripherals on the board. And now if I press reset on the board, you can see that the ESP32 is going through its normal boot stuff. And you can see that it's outputting some parameters and values. So we've got the ID of the ESP32 on this particular target. So we can then log that as part of the test results. We can see that it's checked whether there's an MCP 9808 installed, and it says no. And then we can see it's checked whether there's an AT30 TSE, etc. installed, and it says yes, it found that one. Both of these are temperature sensors. They're never both installed at the same time, but either one or the other can be installed. So in this case, it doesn't have a 9808, and it does have this, and it read the temperature as 18 degrees. So right now it's 18 degrees here in the lab. And it's looked for that particular accelerometer, and no, it's not fitted. It's looked for that particular accelerometer, and yes, it is fitted. It's checked the voltage calibration factor, and it says that the voltage being supplied to it is 11.8 volts. So what we've got here is various checks that have been done by the test firmware.
Outside the box said, overtime rates on a Sunday are paid triple, right?
Definitely pay triple. And so this output coming back from the test firmware can then be stored as part of the test results for that board, and then the real firmware can be installed. So what we're looking at here, this is not real firmware for this board. This is cut down firmware that does nothing but look for these devices and then report whether it has successfully initialized these devices or not. So anyway, just for my first quick test, I outputted the values as parameter value pairs, so it's just a key value pair. But what I will probably do is reformat this so it dumps it out as JSON, and then it can be parsed more easily. Well, I don't even know. Maybe I could. Yeah, do I dump it as JSON, or do I take it as just these values? Do I make it human readable? All these decisions to make. Yeah. Oh, Wagon Load says, if you have two different PCBs that are designed to fit the same test jig, you could have a pogo pin that tests a jumper state. Yeah, that's true. Like if there were two different, yeah, there is a scenario where that you could have two different versions of a device under test that fit into the same tester. That is true. Like maybe we went from version 2.8 of a board that we're testing, and now we're testing version 2.9. The board is physically the same dimensions, fits into the same tester, has all the same test pins, but now it's a different version and the tests are slightly different. So distinguishing that could be an issue. But that's a whole, I don't want to try solving a problem before the problem exists. So yeah, I'm going to ignore that. I've got enough problems without adding more. Jordan said, what is Python's native data storage medium? Well, in terms of Yeah. Oh, and Jordan says, I think you can convert key value pairs into a dictionary pretty easily. Yep. Yes, should be able to. Like I could, in Python, you can parse JSON, you can parse key value pairs. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. So, yeah, maybe key value pairs are the way to do it. The nice thing about key value pairs is that in the code, you don't need to worry about structuring the JSON properly. It's just, you can call out to something that does a check for a device and it dumps it, it just outputs its result. And then you call out to check for another device and it outputs its result. And you don't have to worry about like nesting levels within braces and then backing back out again as you close off the JSON, etc. So I think key value pairs, I think it's fine. If this was being consumed by Node-RED, I think doing it in JSON would be nice because then Node-RED can just, you know, read it natively. It's its own native language. All right, so what I'm leaning towards is having the test firmware output key value pairs and running the test from a script on the file system and not having the tests defined in Node-RED. So if anybody has a problem with that, you got a problem with that, speak up. Because no, Jordan said, as long as the test firmware has a way to re-output the data on demand. Yeah, so I'm thinking of maybe making it so that it doesn't output this on startup. What it does is output it on demand. So the test, what the test code would do, the first thing it does is open the serial port and then start listening for a command. And then I could send it a command like run or something, like just some arbitrary thing. When it receives that command,
I've got a problem with you not eating lunch.
Yeah, I've got a problem with me not eating lunch too. And so when it receives that command, it then executes the tests and outputs the results. And that way the tester can ignore any garbage that happens to have come through beforehand. It can just clear its buffer, send the run command, and then start parsing whatever comes back after that. I actually have pizza.
Amanda Thompson said, is this a new record for the stream length? Keep going if you're up to it. I'm learning so much. Scott Miller said, at Peter Lawler needs to have a pizza delivered to John.
Yeah, I had pizza for dinner last night and I have half a pizza here for lunch today. So today is actually a pizza lunch day. Now, where are we? Yeah, I don't know if I can keep going, Amanda. I'm sorry. All right, summarizing. Key value pairs and running off the command line. But what this does mean is loading two lots of firmware onto the target device. Loading the test firmware and then loading the real firmware. And some boards we will do that and some we will not. So we need the flexibility to be able to do that. Yeah. Air fryer, yes. Wagonlay said, would a 2 or 3 column struct help? Col1 is the name, col2 is the command. I don't think we need that because the firmware already knows what it's trying to do. And what's coming back is just results of specific things. So we can just arbitrarily name
Peter
what
Lawler
this thing
said,
is.
I should start a GoFundMe to organise regular pizza deliveries to John on Sundays.
Yeah, and
Outside the box said, fire up the air fryer.
yes, I will. I will put my leftover pizza in the air fryer. And Crispin also said pizza at the barbecue. Yeah, we could get pizza at the barbecue. it had never really occurred to me because I thought of a barbecue as being a barbecue, but maybe people want pizza at barbecue. We could have barbecue pizza at the barbecue, at the pizza barbecue. Oh, okay. Keith! G'day, Keith. I don't think I said hello to you earlier. Keith said he'll bring the bricks. Yeah, we could make a pizza oven in the Super Lab. Which reminds me that it looks like landscaping out the front might finally happen. I don't say finally, that came across badly. It's something that I've wanted to do and I haven't got to it, and my sister keeps poking me about it, and she is thinking of actually bringing along her ute and trailer to the next barbecue so that we can rip stuff out of the front garden and load it for taking it to the tip. So anyway, build an outdoor barbecue area out the front. Yes. So anyway, maybe some landscaping out the front with a table or a couple of tables with some chairs, and I want a retaining wall along the side of the driveway which would give us somewhere to sit, and ideally have somewhere for the big green dump bin that isn't in the driveway, although that's kind of where it's got to stay for now. Change the food type each month, says Amanda. Yeah. Yes. We could have
Amanda
a theme.
Thompson said, change the food type each month.
And some call it fun, said race car viewing area. Oh, Jax Tech, just give us a yell if you need help. Definitely keen to help you if you need it. Oh, thanks, Jax Tech. I appreciate that. Okay, Peter is telling me to go away, so I really should. It is now 2 hours 46 minutes into this stream. My brain is fried.
Amanda Thompson said, working bee.
Yeah.
Peter Lawler said, go away, John.
Working bee. Yes. All right. Next steps. Next steps are I need to make the test runner look for a proper test script in that target directory and execute it. And I also need to be able to make it handle uploading a test binary to the target before it runs the tests.
Outside the box said, Uru.
And
Mitchell R said, hit that like button.
yes. And I also need to
Peter Lawler
redesign.
said, hey folks, don't forget to feed the stats. Dislike and unsubscribe.
Dislike and unsubscribe for the stats, for the algo. Feed the algorithm. Lambscaping, says any meal service for the barbecue. Yeah, okay.
Peter Lawler said, tests are overrated.
Tests are overrated. Pizza is underrated. So I am going to go and consume some pizza. Thank you for coming. And I'm glad that I finally figured out what was going on with getting Firmata onto that thing. And thank you, was it Jax Tech? Someone who pointed out that I was using the wrong profile. Anyway, I need to document this a whole lot better. Have the setup process listed out so I can reproduce it myself. And anyway, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend and an excellent week coming up. Thank you very much for coming along. Wagon Loads is about to say something about a retaining wall. And yes, that is exactly the same idea as I was thinking. Old railroad ties, by which you mean sleepers. Yeah. As a retaining wall area around the front porch that you can sit on. All right, I'm going to go and somehow. All right, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit this button. I am. Any moment now. Any moment I'm going to.